You weren't always like this. That's the part that keeps you up at night. Before the power, before the deals, before the quiet compromises, before you were something you can't recognize. You were the good guy. Back in college, you were the one organizing protests for clean water. You spent your weekends volunteering at homeless shelters, not for recognition, but because you genuinely believed people deserved better. At 26, you took that belief and ran for city council. No big donors, just a simple message. Transparency, accountability, serving the people. And somehow, you won. By 12 votes. That razor-thin margin felt like destiny. And for a while, you lived up to it. You exposed corruption. You pushed through affordable housing. Local newspapers called you a breath of fresh air. You felt like a hero. So you aimed higher. You ran for Congress. Bigger stage. Bigger consequences. And that's when reality hit. You needed money. A lot of Italiano. Then one day, out of nowhere, a businessman walked into your office. Just confidence. He said he liked what you stood for. Then he wrote a check. $50,000. You asked what he wanted in return. He just smiled. Nothing, he said. Just keep being you. You won the election. You went to Washington. But 3 months in, the phone rang. It was him. A minor tax provision, he said. It would save his company millions. Thousands of companies would benefit too. Job creators. It didn't feel corrupt. It felt logical. So you voted yes? 6 months later, another call. Loosening restrictions on manufacturing waste. This one hit closer to who you used to be. You hesitated. He said these regulations were crushing American jobs. What was better? Cleaner policies at home, or pushing pollution somewhere else where no one was watching? So again, you voted yes, and just like that, things began to shift. Environmental groups turned on you. You lost allies, but you gained new ones. Business groups started praising you. They called you pragmatic. Someone who understood how the world actually worked. Then came the dinner invitation. You started taking their calls, helping them navigate the system. Nothing illegal, just helping constituents. That's what representatives are supposed to do, right? 4 years passed. Then you ran for Senate, and suddenly, the money came flooding in. It multiplied fast. You didn't just win, you crushed it. The Senate was different, the power was real. And that's when you met him. The fixer. He didn't ask for permission. He smiled like he knew something you didn't, and said, I solve problems. For people like you asked what kind of problems? The kind that destroy careers, ruined lives, the kind that never make headlines because they disappear before anyone notices. You should have thrown him out. Instead, you asked how. He said your opponent had a gambling problem. You frowned. Does he? The fixer smiled. He will. 3 weeks later, your campaign was in trouble. You were about to lose everything. So, you made the call. 2 days later, the photos appeared. Your opponent at a casino table. Tay with a fake, completely fabricated, but they looked real enough for the voters. You won by 12 points. The fixer called the next day. You owed him now. He didn't want money. He wanted access. Access meant names people who needed favors. Contracts, regulations that needed to quietly disappear. You told yourself it was temporary, but it never stopped. 6 years into the Senate, you were untouchable. Behind the scenes, you crossed lines you once swore you never would. But you knew. You knew. Then the call came from the president. Vice president. Now you sit in an office with marble floors and oil paintings of leaders long dead. You still tell yourself the same lie. That you're one of the good guys. That once you reach the top, the presidency will cut ties. Then, the phone rings. The fixer. Urgent. You meet him in a parking garage. We've got a problem, he says. There's a journalist. He shows you her photo. She's walking out of her apartment, completely unaware she's being watched. I can make her go away, he says. This isn't politics. This is destroying an innocent person. You should say no. But you don't. You're too deep. You look at him, and you nod. 3 days later, her credibility collapses. Plagiarism. Ethical violations. All lies. From your office, you watch it unfold, you feel sick. But, relieve it. 2 months later, your presidential campaign launches. Thousands chanting your name. You look unstoppable. But at night, you see her face. Then, 3 months before Election Day, she comes back. She publishes everything. The fake photos, the buried investigations, the entire network. The story explodes. Your allies go silent. Your numbers collapse. Then the fixer calls one last time. He says he can save you. One final move. You sit there, and for the first time in 15 years, you say no. You're done. He warns you if he falls, you fall. But you don't care. Election night comes. You lose. Badly. After it's over, you sit alone in a quiet hotel room. A message from her. Thank you for finally doing the right thing. The FBI wants to talk about the fixer. Everything. And this time, you don't hesitate. You say yes. Not for a deal. Just because it's right. Maybe that kid back in college isn't completely gone. Maybe being a hero doesn't look like power. Maybe it looks like telling the truth.